Hi there, I'm Shane Spiers and welcome to another edition of the Performance Brief where we give you one breakthrough business idea in just 5 minutes. My guest today is Tony Fish. Tony, a very warm welcome. How are you today?
Good morning, Shane. I'm very well. Thank you very much. How's everything at your end?
Great that you're here now. Let me tell you a little bit about Tony. He is an investor, author and maverick living in the UK. He has been involved in early stage high growth for over 25 years, having built up and sold a number of businesses. He spends a large amount of his time helping companies grow and scale, but he also finds time to write and speak on personal digital data and its value, digital footprints, digital identity, digital services and personal data. He is also a visiting fellow at Henley Business School and entrepreneur in residence at Bradford School of Management and Law. Tony, the title of our interview today is The Future of Digital Identity, and we have 5 minutes for the interview. If you're ready, I'll start the clock.
Sounds good to me.
So, why is digital identity important?
I suppose step back 2 seconds from digital identity, because people get obsessed by digital identity, and it's not identity that has been digitized. So it's not taking a driving license and making it digital, okay? It is actually starting from a very premise that everything you start off is digital. Why is that kind of like important? Because actually it gives people who have never had the paperwork actually an opportunity to gain identity, which is one important part of it. But probably slightly more important is in the old competitive world, where lots of people competed against using the 6 Ps of marketing or collaboration or whatever the Michael Porter's view of the world was, where you had strength in the market and somebody else had strength in the market, and you used economics as a mechanism competing. In a digital world, there's a shift, and the shift is everything went free. So just because you've got dominance in the market, you can no longer survive just by using good economic theory. What happens in a digital world is you need trust. And you need trust so people will lend you their data and keep lending your data so you can carry on using it. Purpose identity is that you can actually make sure that the person, you know who you're talking about and what they're doing, but more than that, they trust you. And it's about trust relationships, not just about having identity.
Right. So what is consent in identity?
Yeah, now, so consent is a different ball game, which is what does Shane actually consent to? So you buy your iPhone, you sign up, and you just actually have to agree to the terms or you can't use it. That is not consent. Consent will become layered, which is you buy the phone, you agree that actually you have to operate by certain terms, but that doesn't give Apple or Google or Amazon the rights to then pile in loads of stuff into terms and conditions just because you're signing up. So consent becomes much more layered and much more subtle going forward. In digital identity, it's what you're actually going to allow somebody to do. Are you going to allow them to use your identity once, many times, continuously? And that's not just identity, it's your personal data. So consent is very much more about layering the different ways that you can actually use the information that somebody has on you.
Right. Okay. And why does identity matter to companies?
Without knowing in some way, shape or form who you are, it's rather difficult to make offers to you. Now, offers could be for services, it could be for products, and it is this basis of knowledge that's saying, Shane actually is thinking about going skiing, rather than just coming up with a pretty dull offer of, why not buy this holiday? It's actually the whole package that goes with it. Have you thought about your boots, your skis? Have you thought about X, Y, and Z? And it's having that personal, making the personalization of services, but based also on the previous things you've done. So not irrelevant pieces. But do we actually need to know you're called Shane? No. Do I need to be able to reach you in the right channel? Yes. And that's where people get confused between what identity actually is and actually identification. So it's not about knowing exactly who your name is, but it is the ability to reach you uniquely based on your profile.
Right. So where's all this going, Tony?
Where is it all going? To me, I think the big things that are going to come up at corporate level, particularly, because everyone's sort of fairly much gone where the services are going to go. It's the issues that are going to hit the corporate, and the corporate is going to have 2 big revelationary changes, and they are all about culture, and it's a lot of it to do with ethics. And that a number of companies have, basically gone and said, look, we're going to take all your data, we're going to go and exploit it, and we're going to give you nothing back. And consumers are turning around going, actually, that's not the type of people we want to deal with. So hence the reason the word trust comes important. But trust is a pretty useless word in many ways. And therefore, we're actually starting to look at changing the culture of companies to reflect ethics. And that means bringing people in at the board who actually understand why you're going to do something, how they can gain trust with the consumer, not because you're clever at marketing, but actually because you're like a stick of rock. At every single point, you're going to do exactly what you say, and you are going to protect people. That will actually build a completely different ethos.
Right. So it starts with trust coming in at the top of these organisations and building from there.
Yeah, and if you take BlackRock as one of the world's biggest investors, they put out their Christmas note, and what was really interesting about it is they are starting, along with other massive funds, turning around and saying just 2%, 7% underlying growth performance is no longer good enough. Right. Actually, we need you to have morals, we need you to have ethics, we need you to have a completely different basis. So this change is not just coming because consumers want digital identity. It's not coming because governments want it. It's coming because actually the whole ecosystem, from funders, investors, from the board, from people, from individuals, and the millennials. So you're seeing a great pressure build, and change tends to come when a system comes together, not because an individual wants to create something.
Brilliant. Tony, we've come to the end of our time. That's brilliant. Folks, for more resources from Tony, check out his website, www.tonyfish.com. Thank you, Tony.